Malacanang says poverty and the sense of hopelessness it brings spawned terrorism in Mindanao. The House of Representatives and the Senate draft rules for Saturday's joint session on the extension of martial law in Mindanao. NEDA Chief Ernesto Pernia announces the completion and publication of the Philippine Development Plan, or PDP 2017 to 2022, the administration's blueprint for change. 43 foreign nationals allegedly involved in kidnap or ransom activities are arrested by the police. Malacanang reiterates the government's determination to fight poverty to address terrorism in Mindanao. Presidential spokesperson Ernesto Abella stressed this in reaction to a U.S. State Department report that the Philippines is one of the 5 countries that bore the brunt of terror attacks in 2016. Abella said the palace recognizes that poverty in Mindanao has spawned terrorism in the region. Rock Ignacio tells us more.
Terrorism is a global fight, and the Philippines continues to intensify measures to dismantle links of local extremism to international terrorist groups. Presidential spokesperson Ernesto Abella said this in response to the statement of the U.S. State Department identifying the Philippines as one of the 5 countries allegedly target of terror attacks.
A month and a half into his presidency, the president had already warned the military of what he termed the ISIS disease. We recognize that poverty in Mindanao and the sense of hopelessness it brings spawns terrorism. It is for this reason that while we are fighting terrorism, we are also fighting poverty. The President has already approved a comprehensive peace roadmap which aims to provide peace and development by addressing the issue on the Bangsamoro. As they say, we can sign 100 peace agreements, but if those on the ground do not immediately feel the dividends of peace, those agreements will be sustainable.
The palace official also contradicted an article by a foreign newspaper describing Manila as one of the dangerous places in the world due to alleged extrajudicial killings. Abella said the country's security measures are in place and the tourism industry remains good.
I think they're listening to an echo chamber, you know. I think they should come here and experience, it's more fun in the Philippines. Right? They should experience the sun, the sand, the beaches.
While the government put an extra attention on security measures in Mindanao due to Marawi siege, businessmen said they are more secured with the implementation of martial law in the region. NEDA Secretary Ernesto Pernia said this amidst President Rodrigo Duterte's decision to extend martial law in Mindanao until the end of December this year.
I was in Cagayan de Oro just the other day, and there were businessmen there in the forum that we had in CDO, and many of them said that there's no problem. Businesses are not being disrupted. In fact, they feel safer and more confident about the investment or business environment in Mindanao in general. As you know, the conflict is only limited to a small area of Mindanao, small fraction of the whole island.
Rock Ignacio for The Nation.
Preparations continue today for the scheduled joint special session of the Senate and House of Representatives this coming Saturday, July 22nd. The legislators will tackle President Rodrigo Duterte's request for an extension of martial law in Mindanao. Proclamation 216 issued by the President last May 23rd that placed Mindanao under martial rule in the wake of the Marawi City terrorist siege is set to lapse on July 22nd. More details from Marita Muaje.
An executive session was held this morning at the House of Representatives by the upper and lower house officials on the rules and procedures to be followed during the joint special session on Saturday. This is in light of President Rodrigo Duterte's call to Congress to hold the special session and act on his request for martial extension in Mindanao. Led by Senate Secretary Lutgardo Barbo and House Secretary General Cesar Pareja, they tackled how the proceedings should go and how the process of deliberations and interpellations should run. Barbo and Pareja told the media that the President is requesting for a 5-month extension.
Ang request ng President is December 31, 2017, or we can also consider until such time na the Congress might give it.
The drafted rules and procedures this morning are still subject to approval by senators and congressmen. The session will be called to order at 9 in the morning and may last till 10 in the evening, unless it is not yet finished. Voting will be done by a raised hand count and majority vote prevails. Senators and congressmen combined for a total of 314. Senator Leila de Lima is included in the number but she cannot vote.
Joint and separate voting, meaning boboto yung Senado, boboto yung House, at least 13 votes sa Senado, or ano ba ang majority ng 291, titingnan yon. Pero ang ginamit na phrase ng Constitution ay jointly lang, hindi separate. In other words, they will vote together.
Marita Muaje for The Nation.
Strife-torn sides display optics of death, disease, displacement, and despair. The places of refuge or evacuation sites portray the darker side of life, such as depression, deprivation, and a dire lack of the fundamental needs to survive. That is the norm. Marawi City's evacuation centers, for all intents and purposes, is in stark contrast and a departure from the norm. There is contentment and visible relief in the faces of the displaced and homeless because their needs are addressed, their fears allayed, and their doubts given hope. How it diverts and diverges from the commonplace in this report from Alan Francisco.
Wala naman kaming problema kasi nakakakain naman kami dito ng sapat. Umaasa naman kami doon sa sinabi niya na hindi niya kami pababayaan.
Maganda yung tulong ng government, nakakatulong sa aming mga evacuate. At saka wala namang palagi naman nakakakuha kami ng tulong galing sa gobyerno.
Those are the reactions of the evacuees from Marawi City regarding the assistance they are receiving from the government. The said evacuees we interviewed from the National School of Fisheries in Barangay Buruon in Iligan City are composed of 170 families and they are contented with the help of different agencies. This includes the Department of Social Welfare and Development or DSWD, particularly their office in Region 10. DSWD assures evacuees have good temporary shelters and they can also eat properly.
One of the assistance being provided by DSWD are these boxes of relief goods. In each box, there are 4 pieces or 4 cans of corned beefs, 4 cans of sardines, coffee, and 3 kilos of rice. In each family, they will be receiving a box of relief items.
Nakakatanggap din po yung mga IDPs natin ng mga relief goods galing po sa LGU natin at saka sa mga religious group. Si Senator Pimentel din po ay pumunta dito yung mga kagrupo niya para mamigay po ng mga relief.
However, DSWD Region 10 is also aware of some needs they have to provide to evacuees such as laundry soaps, diapers, personal hygiene kits, among others. Meanwhile, the Department of Health or DOH is also monitoring the health of the evacuees. Government troops also ensure evacuees are experiencing peaceful living in the evacuation centers while the chaos in Marawi City is still happening. Together with RJ Guevara, I am Alan Francisco for The Nation, Iligan City.
President Rodrigo Duterte's long-planned visit to troops fighting Mauda terrorists in Marawi City has finally pushed through. The president arrived at the 103rd Brigade headquarters early Thursday afternoon. He was accompanied by Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana, National Security Advisor Hermogenes Esperon, and AFP Chief Eduardo Año. 2 prior attempts of the chief executive to visit troops in war-torn Marawi had failed due to inclement weather. The president's visit was aimed at expressing his support to government troops and policemen who have been bravely fighting the Mauda terrorist group. According to Joint Task Force Marawi spokesperson Colonel Joar Herrera, the president acknowledged the heroism and sacrifices being shown by the soldiers and policemen to regain peace in the war-torn city.
Policemen are on alert for possible more NPA attacks. PNP Chief Ronald De La Rosa ordered his men to be on their toes in the wake of recent hostilities involving communist rebels, the latest of which was an encounter between members of the Presidential Security Group and the NPA in Arakan, North Cotabato. In Metro Manila, Director General De La Rosa assured that the police has put in place all security measures to maintain peace and order during the second State of the Nation address of President Rodrigo Duterte on Monday, July 24th. Eunice Monte has more of this report.
The Chief PNP Police Director General Ronald Bato de la Rosa have ordered his men to expedite the distribution of recently donated brand new 2,800 rifles from China to help our police forces on the ground. According to the Chief PNP, more attacks of the Reds can be expected in the next days before the second State of the Nation address of the President. The PNP is also in full alert status, especially in the places with most number of NPA members. In Luzon, Quirino and Cagayan Valley are among those being monitored closely. Samar, Leyte and Iloilo in Visayas and the rest of northern and southern Mindanao.
Yun ang babantayan natin. Yun ang babantayan natin. Although wala tayong specific threats, but mas alerto talaga tayo. Alerto tayo doon.
The Chief PNP also instructed the commanders on the ground to stay alert and not be complacent as the President's sauna is fast approaching. Though some areas may be prone to NPA attacks, here in Metro Manila, according to Chief PNP, no threats have been monitored by their intel. In fact, according to the PNP, the protesters are closely coordinating with the authorities.
So far, wala. Wala tayong specific na threat na gano'n. Yung mga leaders ng militante ay patuloy na nakipag-usap naman sa liderato ng NCRPO to ensure na peaceful yung rally na gagawin nila sa zona. Nag-uusap sila.
Meanwhile, the armed forces also gave their additional forces from Joint Task Force NCR.
Nung iniutos ng pamunuan ng New People's Army na i-intensify o mas paigtingin ang kanilang gagawing pag-atake, this, as before, has already sent signals to government security forces to be on guard, to be on alert on any developments. Lalong-lalo na ngayon na kanilang ipinapalagay na ang magiging extension ay directed against them.
With all the 100% preparations of the AFP and PNP, they assured the public that there is nothing to worry about the security in the second sauna of the President on Monday. Eunice Monte for The Nation.
Wednesday next week, July 26, is a day of dread for those vehicle operators under the Uber and Grab companies. An announced crackdown is set to go into effect to round up undocumented or illegitimately registered vehicles on the streets and penalize them with hefty cash fines. With so much at stake on the line, both Grab and Uber have lawyered up and wasted no time to seek relief and interim assistance from the law to review and reconsider what it sees as an extremely prejudicial and arbitrary pronouncement from the LTFRB. PTV's Jervis Manahan has more.
Uber operator Manuel Reyes temporarily stopped from his business amidst all the debate regarding TNVS. He admits he is confused with what is happening around, so he decided to go directly to the LTFRB Central Office this morning.
Mahirap naman ho dahil baka matsambahan. Napakalaki ng multa ho, 120,000. Hindi muna sir kasi gusto ko talagang maging legal sir.
Right now, he is quite worried where to source his daily budget. He is dependent on his Uber income, and he even pays his car loan through it. At the time of his visit, both legal counsels for Grab and Uber coincidentally filed their motions for reconsideration. They are asking the board to set aside their July 11 memo ordering the apprehension of Colorum TNVS by July 26.
Yes, we are positive that this will be granted by the LTFRB. I don't think iniipit ng board yung aming franchise. Siguro lang, gusto lang talaga nila ma-ensure yung safety ng riding public.
Now that the motion is already filed, the planned apprehension will be on hold. But still, a lot of drivers have been affected. Merrick Godoy laments his case because despite of meeting deadlines with complete requirements, his documents were still rejected.
Tanggap na sila ng tanggap eh. Dapat dito muna sasabihin nila na apply muna kasi LTFRB, di ka makakabiyay. Huwag mong bigyan ng apps yung cellphone, hindi makakabiyay yung tao. Dito muna pupunta sa LTFRB. Binigay namin lahat na kinumplay naman namin. After 1 year na, wala na.
The board has opened a one-stop shop for TNVS needing to renew CPCs. But the LTFRB stands firm that TNCs must not activate new units. Jervis Manahan for The Nation.
It was the height of defiance. A cease and desist order issued less than 24 hours earlier for traffic rule and ordinance violations has now morphed into a full closure and permanent cessation to operations for the utter disregard of the first issuance. The full story from Jmar Encinas.
Recently, terminals were started after Quezon City Business Licensing Office and Metropolitan Manila Development Office forcibly closed it due to non-compliance of traffic laws and ordinances. But earlier this morning, the Dimple Star Transport illegally continued their operation.
Harap lang po namin, harapan lang ng gusto namin ng terminal. Kahapon po pinasara na yan. Kaya na umaga po, nagtatanggap po siya ng pasahero. Tapos yung nagapa ko po silang ticket dyan.
Pero wala na tayong naabot ng mga buses. Pero may mga photos and videos yung mga news networks that will prove that they are violating. Permanent closure na sila on Monday.
Just yesterday, MMDA closed and issued cease and desist order to Roro Bus Transport and DLTB Company due to lack of space to operate and absence of barangay clearance. Dimple Star Transport, on the other hand, first received the order to show cause, but after the inspection and having found an acceptable terminal garage, a cease and desist order was also imposed. Because of the double violation, MMDA warned terminal, those bus and terminal operators who still contravened the ordinance.
MMDA is serious. Seryoso ko kami, i-implement mo natin yung nasa batas. Pag nag-violate ko kayo, makukuha niyo yung penalty na nararapat sa atin.
To fully eliminate the problem, these violators pause, and to ease heavy traffic on the road, MMDA assured a strict inspection and extensive implementation traffic laws in Metro Manila is in effect. J.M. Encinas for The Nation.
The Duterte administration's blueprint for change, also known as Ambisyon Natin 2040, is now out. NEDA Chief Ernesto Pernia announced the completion and publication of Philippine Development Plan, or PDP 2017 to 2022. PDP contains, among others, the administration's ambitious infrastructure program and streamlining government processes. Rocky Ignacio reports.
Care, change, and development. These are objectives of the Duterte administration's Philippine Development Plan 2017-2022.
We are proud to report that the NEDA has completed and published the Philippine Development Report, Philippine Development Plan 2017 to 2022, which is the Duterte administration's blueprint for change, the change that he has promised.
The long-term program called Ambisyon Natin 2040 is expected to benefit beyond President Duterte's term in 2022.
The NEDA has long started on the strategies detailed in the PDP, but three stand out the most, supporting the administration's. First is the administration's ambitious infrastructure program, streamlining government processes, that's the second, and keeping watch over the country's economic health.
The NEDA board had approved 28 infrastructure projects under President Duterte. The project amount to 786 billion pesos aims to decongest Metro Manila and improve regional connectivity and the flow of trade and business. Heavy traffic has severe effect in economy as well in business. Anti-flood projects are also a priority of the Duterte administration.
The National Transport Policy envisions a transport system that is safe, secure, reliable, efficient, integrated, intermodal, affordable, cost-effective, environmentally sustainable, and people-centered. Then we also have succeeded in streamlining government processes and procedures. Our aim is to deliver our planned infrastructure projects fast and on schedule.
The NEDA board also observed streamlining to hasten the implementation of vital development projects.
Also, the NEDA board members have been reduced from 22 to 11 to make the gathering of the NEDA board members faster. As well, reactivating the NEDA board executive committee to 5 members and reducing the IEC membership to 7 members.
The country has a standing $7 billion direct investment in 2016 from the $5.8 billion in 2016. Rocky Ignacio for The Nation.
The shipment of 3 40-foot containers held in question carry 2 of the trinity of spices in the Filipino kitchen. The trove of bags and bags of garlic on top and the onion bulbs concealed underneath. The garlic shipment was declared and legit. The onions were not. PTV's Julius Samburon reports on the consignee, now under scrutiny and question by the Customs Intelligence and Investigation Committee in an apparent attempt to get this precious load of onions past port officials.
The Bureau of Customs held off 3 40-footer container vans containing garlic at the Manila International Container Terminal earlier today. Upon closer inspection of the container vans, BOC personnel discovered that aside from garlic, there were also onion stuffed inside. Investigation showed that the garlic was just used to cover up the onions. The Customs Intelligence and Investigation Service revealed that there was a proper permit for the imported garlic, but the incident showed that the consignee committed a violation on technical smuggling. The information gathered by the BOC revealed that the said products were listed under the name Equisent Export and Import Corporation with its address in Delgado Street, Port Area, Manila.
Well, ang sibuyas ho kasi, kahit na mas mababa yung presyo niya kaysa sa garlic sa atin, highly regulated siya. Mas kaya niyang suportahan yung pangangailangan ng bansa natin.
The agency is looking on the angle on the possibility of a modus operandi by cartels of garlic and onions, smuggling agricultural products into the country to control market prices. The confiscated products are believed to have been imported from China, which cost almost 4.2 million pesos.
Ang Bureau of Customs hindi naman po masaya kapag nalulugi yung ating mga negosyante. Ang Bureau of Customs ay lagi lang po nagpapaalala na wag na po natin itong gawin.
The BOC is also trying to probe if the consignee has derogatory record. The aduana temporarily suspended the import accreditation of the said company as it undergoes seizure proceedings. CIIS MICP officer said only 80 bags of garlic out of the 2,800 bags were found in the shipment. BOC added that Enforcement Group Deputy Commissioner Teddy Reval recommended that a warrant of seizure and detention be issued against the misdeclared shipment. Such illegal practices has a big negative effect not only on the economy but on the local partners as well. This drives the Bureau of Customs to closely monitor similar contrabands. The Bureau of Plant Industry confirmed that this will have great impact on the losses of the farmers.
Maapektuhan po talaga ang local products natin kasi yun ho ang inaasahan ng mga local industry. Kaya nga kinokontrol ho bago mag-issue ng permit.
Malulugi yung ating mismong mga kababayan na naghirap isang taon na magtanim, tataas naman ang presyo, tayo naman ang ngayon maapektuhan.
Just recently, the issue on the garlic cartel came up amidst the increasing market prices, and Agriculture Secretary Manny Piñol announced the ban of 43 garlic importers after indicating they failed to purchase garlic as the price of the said spice increased last May of this year. Julius de Samburon for The Nation.
Share prices succumbed to profit-taking today. The Philippine Stock Exchange Index lost 66.56 points, or 0.86% to 7,904.34. The broader all shares dropped 37.13 points, or 0.78% to 4,738.83. More than 2.512 billion shares valued at 8.210 billion pesos changed hands. Decliners led advancers 131 to 63, and 65 issues were unchanged.
Hi guys, good evening. I'm Ice Martinez and you're watching PTV Info Weather, and here's the latest. Cloudy to rainy weather is expected this weekend over most parts of the archipelago. We are not monitoring any low pressure systems within the country's area of responsibility. Now, Pag-asa clarifies the intertropical convergence zone is the prevailing rainy weather system affecting the country, and this is the cloud cluster covering most parts of Luzon and northern sections of Visayas, as well as here in Palawan, northern portions of Mindanao. ITCZ is a form of wind convergence of trade winds creating thunderstorm clouds, and now based on a real-time satellite image, it's affecting sections of Calabarzon as well as here in Bicol region, portions of Mimaropa provinces, and Samar and Leyte in northern section of Mindanao, as well as here in Davao region. Now those are light isolated showers lasting for an hour or two. And as for those of you heading outdoors on Friday, tomorrow, based on our Pag-asa regional forecast maps, higher chances of isolated showers expected over most parts of Region 2 over here in Cagayan Valley region, all the way down to Baguio City, as well as sections of Pangasinan. And as for the rest of Luzon, thunderstorms all throughout the day is more likely over Zambales, as well as here in Bataan area, Cavite, and most parts of Quezon province and the rest of Metro Manila. Meanwhile, in the Visayas, Mostly cloudy tomorrow. Light to moderate showers is expected over portions of Samar and Leyte and southern section of Bohol and Negros Island, Cuyo Island, Coron, as well as here in Puerto Princesa. Now heading down south in Mindanao, brace for wet weather over most parts of the Zamboanga Peninsula, as well as here in Caraga region, all the way down to Soxargen. Now good weather or partly cloudy skies is expected for the rest of the island. Meanwhile, as for those of you heading out for some weekend fun, here's our weekend forecast in some destinations.
The Philippine National Police has scored anew in its intensified campaign against kidnapping. This time, police authorities have busted a syndicate of foreigners preying on alien casino players. This report.
Shocked and in a state of awe, these 43 Chinese and Malaysian nationals cannot even talk upon show to the public after being arrested for being part of the international kidnap for ransom group. According to the chief PNP, it has been a month since they started their surveillance to the group, which was seen constantly in Pasay City.
Mostly composed of Chinese national and Singaporean nationals. Singaporean nationals but also of Chinese descent. So, dalawang grupo yan. Pinapalo up natin ngayon.
According to the information gathered by PNP, these foreigners are staying in a hotel near casinos, torturing their kidnapped victims to send these videos to the families back in China. After emailing the videos to the families, kidnappers will then ask thousands of money from their loved ones. This group, which operated since 2015, targets Chinese and Singaporean national casino players. Meanwhile, the PNP anti-kidnapping group is now coordinating with the Chinese embassy to arrest other bigger syndicates involved in this illegal business.
We are not anti-legal gambling. They are operating legally. We are not anti-foreigners coming to the Philippines to do gambling. But we are anti-criminality na gagawin ng mga foreigner na ito dito pa sa lugar natin. Nag-enjoy na nga sila dito, gagawa pa ng krimen. So, bawal yan. Hindi natin tolerate yan.
These 43 are now facing charges of kidnap for ransom and serious illegal detention under Article 267 of the revised Penal Code. Eunice Monte for The Nation.
The public can look forward to an early completion of the Metro Rail Transit System Line 7 project. Transportation Secretary Arthur Tugade says all stakeholders and its contractor have agreed to fast-track and complete the 22-kilometer railway system in 2 years. MRT 7 runs from North Avenue in Quezon City to San Jose del Monte City in Bulacan. Ria Fernandez has added details.
Transportation Secretary Arthur Tugade checked on the progress of MRT 7 construction. At Quezon Memorial Circle, excavation is currently undergoing at the exact site of the train station. During the program before the inspection, Tugade appealed to public for longer patience. This because heavy traffic will continue in places covered by MRT 7 until the project is completed at the last quarter of 2019. Lenita said she understands the situation. Just a little sacrifice and her travel time from Regalado to her work in San Juan will be shorter.
Naintindihan ko naman, okay lang yun.
But for Roberto, it would be better if there were alternate routes.
I-allow yung subdivision na pass-through yung masasakyan para lang makaiwas sa traffic.
For his part, Senator J.V. Ejercito said granting emergency powers to the president is the only key to this.
Kung may emergency powers, mas mapapadali at mas mapapabilis. No, kasi kung ganito kalaki, nakita nyo naman, right of way pala problema na. Without emergency powers, medyo if you go to the usual process, medyo may katagalan.
Meanwhile, the government is working on the relocation of over 100 informal settler families to be affected by the MRT 7 construction.
1,000 to 5,000, 6,000 requests of Tutukan. Meron akong inventory nun. So meaning these are readily available for occupancy.
After the MRT 7 is completed, vehicles here in North Avenue will start to traverse this area. Now the houses from the gutter up to that red mark will be relocated, as well as the houses within the red mark until the 1.5-meter measure, because that's where the sidewalk of the people will be built. Cornelio respects the government once it enforces its right of way.
Kung kahit lang kailangan nila, wala kami kasi di naman sariling lupa namin to.
While Chris hopes there will be opportunities available in their future residential place.
O kung lalagay kami sa Tanay, paano nahanap buhay namin sa Tanay, di ba? Tapos ganito pa, may nag-aaral akong mga anak.
Ria Fernandez for The Nation.
In news overseas, many people enjoy a cup of coffee, especially in the morning. Turns out that is giving them a good start, not just to their day, but to their lives. A new study indicates that people who drink at least 3 cups of coffee each day appear to live longer than those who don't. In the largest study in coffee drinking so far, scientists examined data from 500,000 healthy people over the age of 35 in 10 European countries. VOA's Deborah Block has more.
For 20 years, this coffee lab has sourced, tested, and supplied beans to customers. During that time, there have been contradictory studies about coffee's impact on people's health. Now, researchers from the International Agency for Research on Cancer and the Imperial College London have discovered that coffee consumption is associated with a reduced risk of death, especially from circulatory and digestive tract diseases.
We found that the same results in 10 European countries. And for different type of coffee consumed, from the espresso to the Norwegian filter coffee, came out as associated with reduced mortality in these different populations.
Men who drank at least 3 cups a day were 18% less likely to die than non-coffee drinkers. For women, it was 7%. Stephen Hurst works for a coffee company.
I don't know why, going back some years, that coffee had negative connotations, so I'm very pleased to see the playing field being leveled out a little bit.
But skeptics say a number of key factors are not considered in the report. They point out, for example, that people who are not healthy are not part of the study, and that coffee drinkers may just be healthier to begin with.
For our sports tonight, the NLEX Warriors are getting off on the right foot in the ongoing PBA Governor's Cup. This after the Yengao mentored squad scored a huge win against the Alaska Aces last night at the Smart Araneta Coliseum. Dennis Principe filed this report.
Having the right import and enough local support could propel NLEX to a better performance this conference. The Road Warriors pick up from where they left off after winning their Governor's Cup opener by beating the Alaska Aces 112-104 Sunday night at the Smart Araneta Coliseum. Import Aaron Fuller led the charge for NLEX by tallying 30 points and 20 rebounds, while sophomore Kevin Alas registered 20 markers, apart from 8 rebounds and 4 assists in being named player of the game. The Road Warriors, despite being last placers last conference, went on to win their last 2 games in ending their Commissioner's Cup campaign.
It's a fresh start for us, and we want to be able to capitalize on the momentum. Actually, we built this momentum even from the last conference. May 2 panalo kami nung bago magtapos. So I was really excited to start practice early. Hindi ko na sila masyadong pinahinga. Gusto ko talaga mag-ensayo na kasi na-encourage ako doon sa pagbabago ng team.
Meantime, Giao is hopeful mid-season recruit Larry Fonachier would soon get his timing back. The former Gila sniper got to play his first game in an NLEX uniform against the Aces last night.
I'm sure he'll get better. He's a veteran. He's one of the guys who's making our chemistry really good. And with his leadership, we will need to, I guess, just set him up a little bit more with his strong point, which is shooting that outside shot.
Up next for the Road Warriors are the Kia Picanto Saturday at the Mall of Asia Arena in Pasay City. Dennis Principe for The Nation.
Malacanang says poverty and the sense of hopelessness it brings spawned terrorism in Mindanao. The House of Representatives and the Senate draft rules for Saturday's joint session on the extension of martial law in Mindanao. NEDA Chief Ernesto Pernia announces the completion and publication of the Philippine Development Plan, or PDP 2017 to 2022, the administration's blueprint for change. 43 foreign nationals allegedly involved in kidnap or ransom activities are arrested by the police.